Reclaiming Timeless Ways, another episode set to get underway with Mike Traster. I'm Simon Fuller. Glad to have you along with us. As we have said before, we hope that you'll find some value in our shows. Maybe not every one of them is directly for you, but maybe somebody you know, or maybe for a later stage in life. Either way, we hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll be notified. About every couple weeks, we try to release a new episode, and you can determine if it's something you want to spend 15 to 30 minutes on. That's usually where we try to keep it, Mike. Today's episode is going to be on, what, 10 books, I think you said. I think that was supposed to be last week or 2 weeks ago's episode.
I think we even did one on it once, but
Yeah.
we'll do it again.
Because there's probably more than 10 you like.
It might be 11, you know? So a couple of ideas. We want to help at least one person every show.
Yep.
If you're not sometimes angry, you have been endlessly programmed to be dumb. There are things that should piss you off in life.
Right.
Like the garbage they put in food and call it food. And we're here to stir up shit. Or I am.
There's Mike's new theme. He's going to make a couple bumper stickers out of those. And we're going to sell that as merchandise from Reclaiming Timeless Ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea is that there's an old saying among the people, including myself, who studies survivalism. In other words, if something bad happens, do you have some mental skill and physical preparation set aside? Do you have 5 gallons of water stored in your house in
Right.
case the water system goes to crap, right? Do you have 20 cans of ravioli or something like that that'll give you some sustenance? Do you have hydrogen peroxide, right? So the saying is, it's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
Something will happen. Look at Florida,
Right.
right? They just got the crap kicked out of them last week, 10 days ago,
Depends when you're watching this, but recently.
right? And it's about to happen again. There's a Category 5. That's what they said this morning. It was like a tropical storm, and then it was a 3, and I heard it was a 5, which is an absolute nightmare hurricane.
Yeah.
160-mile-an-hour winds. They have to leave, right? So the question is, do you have some fundamental skills, mentally, emotionally, physical skills, spiritual skills, right? Do you have some basic foundations, right? There's a world full of books. I mean, we've got a modest library here by many standards, but not a bad library.
Right.
If you just walked around in there and wrote some ideas down, basic common sense ideas, like we were talking earlier about somebody or several people that had major stress issues. Well, there's handbooks on stress.
Right.
So what they do is they eliminate all the, quote, professional words. Because professional word means, instead of me saying a big hole in the base of your skull, which is a 20-cent word, I say foramen magnum, that's a $500 word. What's the difference? Well, $499.80. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? But one is like, the Mount Everest of horseshit for billing, and the other is the simple, plain truth. Right? So we're always being marketed to be suckers. But 10 books. What would your 10 books be? Do you have an idea?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Come on. You got ideas. You're full of ideas.
I'll be on, the Bible.
The Bible, okay. Yeah.
I don't read a lot, Mike, which you'll probably scold me for. I really don't know. I do have some audiobooks on my phone. I am not much of a reader,
Okay.
and if it in book form, But I know that you've shared some that talks about herbal medicine, and that, in fact, he was scolding me before shows, after shows, in between shows, on studying that more, as we kind of talk off the cuff about things going on. I've got a pet, some buddies, and he's always saying, have you gone to the book? You know, not saying that that's the cure-all, end-all, but there are some real nice benefits. In fact, Mike, earlier in the year, told me about turmeric, which I take, and I wouldn't suggest this necessarily, but I just eat it straight, some of the powder.
It's a little rough.
It is, and then I take a swig of my coffee or water, because it's funny, because like memory, for me, long-term memory is not great. It's not my mom either. It's kind of on her side, so I knew you talked about it helping with that, amongst other things. So a book in that world, do I know a title or an author? No, but I feel like that would be a beneficial book to have. Some basic carpentry of some sorts, that'd be a good book to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, just if stuff really, hit the fan, you know what I mean? It'd be nice to understand how to build some things, but also, I think that's a tool that you take with in all your basic home maintenance and repair along the way when crap isn't hitting the fan, just to save you some money. So there's a few topics of books I might be searching for.
Okay. So among the things that Simon doesn't know, that he does know, is herbal medicine and carpentry.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two that you don't know. What else don't you know?
I thought, I don't know titles and authors, we'll put it that way.
He knows. See, he knows. He's just not used to saying that he knows. And then you mentioned specifically turmeric for mental clarity.
Yeah, right.
So a good book on herbalism would be.
I'll even get it. So prove to you I'm not lying.
Okay.
We're in my office, Mike, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Is it the beast? Oh, the herb. Yeah, wonderful.
And then I'll grab this, because Mike got me some remedy for a spot I have. But you can see that thing is whittled way down there. I just take a little bit and pour it in and swallow it down. Now, I know people cook with this. I just don't have a lot of, I just don't use it in a lot of meals, so I'm like, I'll just eat it straight.
One good thing is anything that's spicy, if you put a little turmeric in it, the taste disappears.
Yeah,
So when I put it in my can of ravioli, which I love, I can't taste it.
Yeah.
I just stir it in, it's gone.
yeah,
Same with the ginger, you taste a little bit, but not much.
yeah.
Now, the people in India, the more turmeric they use, and they use a lot in curry,
Right,
the less Alzheimer's and dementia they get.
Yeah.
A direct cause and effect relationship.
yeah,
Powerful,
yeah.
powerful. They found that out by accident. They
Yeah.
go, well, let's look at these people. They're terribly poor. Let's see how awful their stats are. And they go, yeah, wow, that must be a mess, right? So they look and they're like, holy crap. They don't get it.
Right.
They're not getting it. What's wrong with this, right? Well, probably some of the additives, maybe some of the unhealthy things in our foods that are missing, thank
Right.
God. But also, this is preventative. Fancy the 20-cent word prevention, the $500 word prophylactic. What's the difference? There is none. Except the bill, right? Hey, it's prophylactic. Yeah, that'll be $1,000. Well, what's the difference between that and prevention? I don't have any more time for you, right? That's a scam, right? But turmeric is a priceless herb, absolutely priceless. It's good anti-inflammatory, right? It has just wonderful qualities.
Yeah.
Wonderful qualities. Encyclopedia of Natural Medicine, be a fantastic. I think I gave you a copy of that one.
Is that the one you
that
gave me?
Beast?
Yeah,
The big
yeah,
beast?
yep.
right.
That's the one. That's the one he was hollering at me in a nice way
I'm not.
for not referring to more often. No, just reminding me, Simon, I gave you the tool, but you got to use it. You put it in the toolbox, but you do need to use it for it to make sense.
No, don't hit yourself in the head.
Right.
This is not what the hammer is for. See the lump? I proved it on myself. So, what's her name? Penelope Odie.
Okay.
She's written some books on herbalism that are absolutely, if you like looking at a book and that's full of like really rich, like delicious photographs, Oh, boy, she hits home runs. And she's a classically trained, brilliant British herbalist. They get like 4 years of school. It's almost like medical school for herbalists, right? So they're trained to diagnose and treat disease and licensed to do it in Britain, right? So we don't do that here. The only people that do that here are naturopaths.
Yeah.
or MDs or DOs, and to some degree nurse practitioners, right? So they have an advantage over us in that. So Penelope Odie would be one. James Duke, he was a bureaucrat with a high, I think he had a degree in botany or something like that, and he was down in Central America on some fact-finding tour with the government. And the local people were at this big gathering. He was at an educational meeting, and they said, "You should come and meet our herbalist." And he's like, "Get away. I'm a scientist. Don't bother me. You're primitives, right?" Like
Right.
that. And they were very sweet and persistent and friendly, honestly, very engaging. So they persuaded him with kindness. They had nothing to sell. Nothing to sell. No $500 words.
Right.
We just think we would love for you to meet some of these guys because they're helping people be well. So, all right, I'll go. So he starts meeting some of these local herb practitioners who have 10 and 20 and 30 and 40 years of knowledge, or maybe 5 generations in the family. And he's like, holy shit, some of this stuff absolutely works. So he became interested in herbal medicine after knowing it was a crock. He started knowing that he didn't know that.
Right.
He thought that. He
Right.
felt that, but it wasn't knowledge. It was a feeling.
And we're kind of programmed in this country, in a sense, to say that person's wacko,
He's a quack.
yeah,
Right.
But oftentimes there's a lot of merit behind I'm not saying there's not a time and a place for true
Right.
drugs,
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a tool.
but there's a lot of merit behind what also nature provided us.
Huge. Huge. How many people know that oregano is an antibiotic? What? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Okay, don't look it up. Do not look it up. Do not look up, is oregano an herb that has antibiotic properties? Don't do that. And while you're at it, don't look up OSHA, OSHA, not the bureaucrats in the government, the herb. Don't look that up as an antibiotic. Don't look up the antibiotic properties of garlic. Don't. So James Duke wrote a book called The Green Pharmacy. You're not allowed to look it up.
Get kick out of the reverse psychology. Still works on us even as an adult.
What do you mean I'm not allowed
I'm
to?
gonna look it up.
Screw that.
Yeah.
The hell with you.
Yeah.
I'll kick you off your chair. Right? So James Duke, Penelope Odie, and the big book that I mentioned earlier, which you can get used on Amazon with shipping for about 10 or 12 bucks. The Encyclopedia of Natural Medicine, all magnificent books, great books. Because, if you go from no knowledge to knowing 5 or 10 basic herbs, you're already invested in some wealth in your
Right.
well-being.
Right.
People don't manage their minds very well.
Yeah.
We talk about my cousin, people self-treating or treating by just sitting and playing video games and turning into blobs, right? Managing, in psychology, there's a school of thought called neuro-linguistic programming. It means basically how we speak to ourselves changes how we are.
Yeah.
Huge direct cause and effect relationship between self-talk and emotions.
No question.
I would say 80% of our emotions are based on our self-talk,
Sure.
and the other 20% is physical ailments. So can you imagine having ownership of 80% instead of not?
Right.
Right? So think on these things. It was written by this mystic, who I believe he started off being named Joseph Alcoin, and he changed his name to Krishnamurti.
Okay.
And the people who sort of managed him wanted him to become this, like, famous guru. And he said, bullshit. I'm just a guy that studies and learns and wants to share my knowledge. I'm not your guru.
Yeah.
You're not going to market me.
Right.
I'm not going to be the new avatar,
Right.
right? So he told them all to blow it out their butts, and he just spent his life in a decent way teaching people useful things. So his book, wonderful book,
Yeah.
you know, just a wonderful book. So like you said, carpentry, what is the book? It's a Reader's Digest book on home repairs. I don't remember the name of it.
We talked about it once upon a time. That's what kind of made it jog in my mind, and
Did I give you a copy of it?
I don't know that I have a copy of it.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes open.
Yeah. But you just think about your day-to-day life, whether you're at your company or at your home or at a friend's house or hanging out with somebody in the garage or the back patio. You might learn how to, look, it's a little uneven on your little, raised patio. What can I help do? Everywhere we go, everything we touch and look and see is got to have some sort of maintenance, Mike.
Right.
How much of that can we participate in? More than you think.
Right.
More than you think. So, something that I have some interest in. I've scratched the surface, but certainly would like to.
Well, with this
To know
building, you would have to, this place has to be a college for you,
Yeah.
right?
No question.
Seriously. It's a big building.
Yeah.
It requires you to be, I would think a building like this could bankrupt you
Yeah.
if you couldn't do stuff on your own,
Right. Right.
Oh, God, no, not that too, It was like, that's the fourth thing in a year or whatever, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So a book like that, a Reader's Digest book on home repair is what I think it's called. And again, it's like $10
Yeah.
with, with shipping for a used copy. And it shows you how to do things yourself.
Yeah.
And the illustrations are just about perfect,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what are we doing here? We're giving you access to some autonomy,
Yeah.
self-control, self-rule, instead of being ruled and bankrupted,
Yeah.
by everybody else. Sometimes just slowing down and doing things. We had a big windstorm damage in my place, and there was tons and tons of branches all over my prop. Some of them very big. I paid a neighbor $80 for a couple hours of help with a chainsaw, and I've got a chainsaw of my own. I've got two. One is a gas one, it won't work. I hate it. The other one is battery powered, so you can make about 30 cuts, and then wait
Recharge, yeah.
Huh?
Then you gotta recharge,
Then
wait.
it's like a day, right? Yeah. And so, what I did was I spent like, I don't know, 5 or 10 hours a day for 4 or 5 days, and then reducing that, but I probably put in 80, 100 hours, and it's almost disappeared.
Yeah.
Breaking it up. And what I did was I took all the branches and I made a perimeter around the yard. You've seen that. Well, I made it a bigger perimeter to absorb it. And so my actual personal costs, without hurting myself physically, with a handsaw and a pair of compound clippers, maybe less than $100.
Yeah.
Plus my neighbor, another 100.
Sure.
Would have been $2,500, $3,000 to
Oh,
have
yeah.
somebody come in
Right,
that I didn't have.
right,
That would have cleaned me out,
yeah.
So, like a book like that, or just how to get things done,
Feels like you're saying, find your 10 books.
find them.
Yeah, I mean, there's various topics that are good life skills.
Right.
Whether or not it hits the fan or not, skills that you should be prepared for then and have in your day-to-day use.
Right, so Krishnamurti's book, Think on These Things, he talks about how to observe and manage your thoughts.
Yeah,
huge,
Yeah.
huge. In terms of an Eastern book, my favorite book would be the Tao Te Ching. And my favorite author, because it's been interpreted and reinterpreted many times, is Jane English. I ever tell you about that book?
I don't know.
It's the Tao Te Ching means the way of life, and it was a
you
series
have.
of 81 writings that were half a page long or so each. And what she did was she accompanied each little writing or an insight.
No. Yeah, you did even let me borrow that book.
Oh,
Or
okay.
either I have it or you let me borrow it. Now I have to remember.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So she included photographs, and she is like, I don't know, I would describe her as a world-class photographer.
Yeah.
Brilliant. She had a doctorate in physics, and then she got interested in the Tao and things like that, so she became an expert. If I don't know that anyone ever becomes an expert.
Very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable. And the book that she wrote is an absolute gem. So find a book on nutrition,
Yeah.
you know? Isn't that wonderful? Just read a little bit.
And there is no question that a lot of our processed, convenient foods, eating too much of that, too much of anything can be bad, but I mean, there's no question that has affected us as an American culture and beyond. So understanding how nutrition works with you and what you should be getting is important.
If you think you might have exposure to heavy metals, there's a cooking herb called cilantro.
Love it. Put it in salsa.
Yeah. Cleans heavy metals out of the body.
I didn't know that about cilantro.
Yeah, it's a good one. See that book that you should have to write up?
There he goes.
So the fancy.
All right, I'm gonna pull it out, Mike. It's done collecting dust.
And he pulled out the machine gun. Shut up.
You're right, just
So-
like a good radio ad, sometimes it takes a little repetition before it sinks in.
I know why I'm going to get the book to shut him up.
Next time he comes here, shows up, I'm gonna quote a few things and he'll say, all
Tell
right.
me. So cilantro is called a chelator.
Okay.
And the word chel comes from the word chyle. I think it's a Greek word and it means claw. So the image is that the claw is grabbing metals out of the body and pulling them out so they can be excreted.
Huh.
Okay? My personal prejudice would be to move things, when you're doing clean out in your body, do it slowly so your eliminative organs aren't stressed, right? The liver and kidneys,
Yeah.
you don't want to overload them, right? So the slower clean out is probably safer,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, so cilantro would be good in that respect. What is it? You just look at basic. So like a good way to read a book on herbs is to read it through the index. You have a problem. What can I do for this? What can I do for that? Is there a way I can reduce the severity or the propensity for gum disease? Oh, there's oak bark. That's an interesting one. That's a topical application. Vitamin C, because a lot of times gum disease is related to a vitamin C deficiency. Smoking will help cause it.
Yeah.
So things like that. So you go in your index and say, well, I have a problem. My problem is I have a pre-ulcer. Licorice and cabbage are both helpful. No shit.
Or like me, I was telling Mike last week when we were gonna record, I've got a head cold, sinus, some allergy stuff. Get the elderberry, get the vitamin C, a lot of folks can, even the simple things like that, how can I reduce the symptoms and maybe heal up a little faster, maybe even avoid getting these recurring instances as often.
For a guy that doesn't remember well, I told him once and he remembered it perfectly.
Well, and in that defense, my mother also was
mom.
harping on me. And you gotta listen to mama. She
right.
she was preaching the same thing, and it's, so you're right though, by, finding out that makes sense. What's going on in my world, you'll learn over time more and more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. So you become your own index,
Right.
in a sense.
Right.
You know, I think the U.S. Air Force Survival Manual is a brilliant book on survivalism. So is John Lofty Wiseman's book, The SAS Survival Manual. With that one, there's two versions. One's about this big, it's too small, and the other is about 50% bigger. The small one, you gotta have glasses on,
Yeah.
or a magnifying glass to read
Read
it.
it, yeah.
Yeah, which is a pain in the butt. So I would say, now, I don't know if we've reached 10, we've probably hit 5 or 6, but that's,
You're getting the gist. In other words,
Right.
what are some things you think, and maybe that was meant to be ... or a blank space. What are some books that you think would bring value to you in your world? Find them. Like you said, go seek them. Be an advocate for yourself.
New Think is a book on thinking. Two kinds of thinking. It's divided into two basic ideas. One is, some people get stuck on the problem. I can't do it because I got this wrong and that wrong and that wrong. And the other guy goes, well, we have to know what's wrong in order to seek what's corrects it.
Right.
Right? So you got a heel spur, put a pad under your heel.
Right.
Or go see a podiatrist, or both, right? Or change your shoes.
Right.
So New Think is one book. The other one is how you get groups of people to do creative inventing, thinking, policy making, and that's called The 6 Thinking Hats.
Yeah.
And that's by Ed DeBono, both of them.
My wife read that one, really enjoyed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Fantastic. See, I feel, every time I hear that, I feel like I paid my dues.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Interesting. By the way, he just passed away. He was close to 90. If you have like a sleep disorder, you can't sleep, if you watch tapes of Ed DeBono speaking, you go to sleep. He was like the perfect sleep medicine for me. Like, please don't speak. It was horrible. But his writing is brilliant.
Yeah.
Speaking,
You should have had somebody else do the audio part on that tape, huh?
Definitely. Definitely. So, what is that, 6, 7 books?
Yeah.
I don't think we have to hit 10. I think that's enough.
No, that's for you to fill in the gaps. Watch
Yeah. So make an index of challenges. What are the kinds of things that are, how do I find a good mechanic? Well, that's a problem solver. Ooh, I got one, but it's not a book. There's a guy on YouTube. I think YouTube can be a fantastic resource.
Right.
Isn't always, but it can be. But there's a guy who does a program, and he compares and contrasts different products, and it's called Project Farm, like a farm farms potatoes. Project Farm, and you just look him up and see what he writes about. A lot of mechanical things and machinery and glues and just things like that solve mechanical problems or maintenance problems. He does a good job,
Yeah.
and I think he might help you. So I think that's enough for the 10 books. Should be helpful.
All right. And with that, we bid you a good day. Again, remember, subscribe. Next time a show comes out, you'll be notified first. And you can decide if you want to listen to Mike and Simon for another episode of Reclaiming Timeless Ways. In the meantime, have a great day.